Welcome, one and all, and come on in. This is Three Guys Before the Game, the 422nd episode. Neal Brown returns, and the Xavier preview. The fellas are in. Out to the far right, your left, is the Dean, Hoppy, and the Senator, Brad Spreads, Senator Howell. Three Guys brought to us by Comax Business Systems, your full-service Konica Minolta dealer. Go to Comax Business Systems, visit ComaxWV.com. The Co is with a K, not with a C.
Right.
KOMAXWV.com. They're terrific. I'll tell you what they do in a little bit. And by the Burdette Camping Center. There's a bunch of places, I would imagine, that sell RVs in West Virginia. I don't know. I only know of one of them, but they're the only one that has a warranty that lasts forever when you buy it from them. So Burdette Camping Center, the only warranty forever RV dealer in all of West Virginia. They're available to you at BurdetteCamping.com, BURDETTE camping.com. Parts, sales, service, they got you. Alrighty. Since the last time we got together, trying to think out loud here.
Tuesday.
Monday. It was Monday. So my week has just been kind of like condensed. So, did we have the new AD? We didn't have the new AD.
No.
Okay, so a lot has happened.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I'm with him. I can't remember either.
I mean, it's all like jumbled up.
I don't know what day it is, when announcements are made, what people coming, people going. I'm with you.
You trying to say that like you have everything like perfectly laid out logically? You know when everything happens?
You didn't know what day we recorded the podcast. You just said Tuesday.
You thought the podcast was airing live, and you're going to come to us and say, well, you were kidding on us?
Fair point.
Out of the gate early here.
Would you like to withdraw your question?
Your Honor, I would. I withdraw the question.
Thank
I'll
you.
sit down quietly.
A gentleman
Not make eye
from
contact.
A gentleman from Summit Point has withdrawn the question. I will donate my minutes available now to the gentleman from the great state of Iowa. All right, let's jump on in. We're going to preview Xavier a little bit. Senator's got some numbers. And we will talk about the new AD, Neal Brown returning, and, of course, your texts, messages. And we're going to do that in no longer than 65 minutes.
Okay.
Because these guys got stuff. They got stuff they got to do. And I delayed the start of the show. Otherwise, it would be normal length. But I had to go over and talk to the basketball coach over at the college. And he was fine. He showed up on time and everything. But it's just,
The university.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's jump in. What do you got?
Well, WVU is finally getting ahead of the story. And that's important because what has been the story for the last 2.5 weeks? Is Shane Lyons going to get fired? Shane Lyons is fired. Wow, Shane Lyons was fired. Is Neal Brown going to get fired after Shane Lyons gets fired? No, maybe Neal Brown's going to stay. Why did Shane Lyons get fired? Shane Lyons does an explosive interview on a local public affairs program. People talking about that. And then it's, well, what about Brown? Well, you got recruiting. You got the portal. So all these things just spinning around. I mean, it was a maelstrom.
Throw a football game in there, too. And 3 basketball games.
Exactly. But so the state of things felt very chaotic, right? And maybe this guy's going to be the AD. No, this guy is. No, that guy's not going to be it. So all these things spinning around. And then in pretty quick succession, okay, here's the hire. Here's the guy. And then after that, the statement, Neal Brown will remain the head coach. The press conference will be Monday with the new AD. So now, at least it feels like there is some certainty. There's a finality certainly to the search. There's finality as to what Neal Brown's status is, at least for the immediate future, for the next year. So there's a settling. The maelstrom has now settled down into something that does not feel as chaotic as it was for 2.5 weeks.
maybe should be speaking for yourself there, because I'm not sure Neal Brown would feel the same way. So here's another perspective on that.
Okay.
From where you've been covering the story, I can see why you said that. But now what has happened, this is where you exit stage. How do you exit on the, is it stage left?
Right.
Stage right?
I think it's right, isn't it,
You
Hoppy?
exit stage right? How do you say
You've
that?
been
What's that
booed,
saying?
you've been booed off a lot of stages. Which way do you normally go?
I just run to the nearest opening, whatever it
Wherever
was.
you can get out,
Yeah,
whatever
exactly.
you're closest to. Exit to the nearest opening. Now what happens when you take over? I'm think you're just getting started with the book that begins with recruiting. Because this has been that, what'd you say, maelstrom?
Maelstrom.
That's correct.
So the chaotic nature of the last couple of weeks and the uncertainties created some uncertainty in recruiting. And we've talked about this. The top-ranked recruit in this class, Rodney Gallagher, was unsure what was happening. He takes a visit to Penn State. So will recruiting get settled? How will that get wrapped up? How will Neal Brown and this staff go out and get that part settled? So, yes, some of the areas are settled, but there's still a lot of football questions to be answered here, and I'm not so sure that uncertainty that's been created over the last 3 weeks with all this chaos is totally settled just yet, and we don't know the end of that story just yet.
That's true. I agree with you. I'm just saying that the short-term chaos at least has settled down. But you're right on what you said. I think it was interesting what Rob Alsop, the interim AD, said about Neal Brown's future. And he talks about talking with the new AD, et cetera, et cetera. And he says that Wren Baker and Coach Brown have already connected relating to the future of the program. As a result of these efforts and discussions, it is clear that Coach Brown should continue to lead our football program. There is a reason for that language. It doesn't say we'll be the coach for at least the next year. It doesn't say, we'll be. It says we'll continue. So I think that at least publicly that provides some assurance or some certainty. However, in fairness, everybody knows, including recruits, including media, national media will say next year, who's on the hot seat? Neal Brown. So he's still on regardless of what you say, he's still on the hot seat.
So I don't know how much clarity or certainty it did provide. I mean, a change could come at any moment. A change could come 3 games into the season next year.
It could.
Right?
Yeah.
So I don't know what certainty it provided there beyond whatever little certainty any head coach has for the most part. So, I mean, I don't know that they could have said anything other than what they said right there. There's no way they could. Again, there's already been so much chaos created and thrust upon this program. There's no way they could box them in with a time frame. There's no way you would say 1 year. It's already going to be used against this program in recruiting negatively. There's no way you could put a time frame on that. That's, quite frankly, the only way you could have written that release was how they did.
Yeah, it is a unique situation in 40-plus years of West Virginia football. Wouldn't you agree? We've never gone into a season in the last 40 years where it's, if you don't win, there's going to be a move that is made.
Well, okay,
Go ahead. Fire me. Give me some time.
Well, I was going to say that, the Signetti years.
No, what's 40 years?
Oh, okay.
That was 70. That was 70. That was 42 years
well,
ago.
Okay, but there was a very, very, if you remember back, the whole Dana Holgorsen, Bill Stewart thing was very, very odd.
Wait a second. Stu, 999. No one said if he doesn't, right, and he never got the chance for season number 4. I'm saying it's never been as focused on the first month of the season as it's going to be.
That's fair. There was a lot of that discussion around most of Dana's tenure. 2017, 2018, the last couple of years it settled down because you were loaded and had a great team. Up until that point, I mean, end of 2012 and 2013, 13 into 14, there was a lot of that conversation. But no, not to the spotlight that will be on there now, which, again, that's what creates the difficulty that this staff is going to have when it goes to recruit. It is – listen, that's a hard job anyway, right? Recruiting's hard. It's getting harder with the transfer portal. And to have that uncertainty hanging over your head by what has been created over the last however months, it's been 6 months, and then certainly the last 3 weeks, that makes it extremely difficult and will be a hot-button topic all over the country.
It is, but Brad, you brought up something on a local public affairs program this morning that I thought made a lot of sense, and that is also with the portal, you can, I mean, if a player comes here and says, well, the coach might get fired, I'll just go someplace else. I mean, it is not like it was a few years ago where he said, I'm committed, I can't go anywhere else. So if Neal Brown leaves, the player could go, I'll leave too.
I think that helps, quite frankly, in this situation. If I'm Neal Brown and his staff and I'm getting negatively recruited against, if I'm a player, it's no longer he's not going to be here for your 4 years. There's no way. The
player says, either am I.
Yeah, you're right. So they go in and say, they want him out now. He's not going to be here for 4 years. And the player's looking at the other coach going, I'm on a year-to-year basis too, man. I want to see how this goes. So I do think
I only signed a 1 year
in a weird way, we tend to hear so much about the negative side of the portal. I think that does theoretically, again.
Yeah, theoretically,
we'll see what happens in practice. I mean, we can say a lot of things up here theoretically. I would think that would help the pitch, right? You start getting questions for parents. Are you going to be here in 4 years? Well, man, I don't know. How does anybody know? How does anybody know who's going to be there in 4 years? So maybe that does provide some answers in recruiting.
So 3 weeks is when recruits can sign their national letters of intent. However, the reality of it is that the freshmen, the true high school seniors now that will become true freshmen, they really aren't going to be a big part of the most immediate concern. That will be junior college players and then what you harvest in the transfer portal. And the transfer portal harvest can last from now all the way to the end. There's a whole nother, spring session of the portal that comes on, and after spring ball, people will also make moves. That's the most significant piece of this entire equation for West Virginia football, is not the babies that are going to be signing, the young guys, but rather immediate impact players. That's how this class should really be viewed.
So the off-season becomes your perception time. Your PR is built in the off-season here, where you try and, we've talked about this before, Hop, you have to have momentum. College sports, more than any, has to have momentum. And this is where you build it in the offseason. So I think you're right when you say that, Tony. I do think the young guys are important from that perception standpoint. If suddenly 10 of the 22 jump off board, you've got a perception problem. If 21 of the 22 end up getting to the finish line and sign with you, then I think that turns the perception back the other way, that this recruiting class, at least by rankings, and again, we all know what you can do with the rankings most years, but if they're going to have rankings, you'd rather have a better ranking than not, correct?
Right.
Okay. West Virginia has been getting better rankings. This class is in the top 30 by some services. So the more of those guys that get to the finish line and sign, I think that begins to start to tell the story about next year perception-wise and help to build some momentum for this program that needs to get it back, because it's not only stopped, it's rolling back down the hill the other way.
Correct. And this is a two-piece equation. So you'll have you'll have an understanding of what you've done with your talent level once the portal season is over, right? But then what you don't know and won't know until the games are played is, how does the marriage take place? Because we've seen at schools this year that went heavy into the portal and have reportedly been spending a lot of dollars in NIL. That doesn't guarantee you success.
Correct.
How does it mesh together? How do those players that might be coming up a level from perennially powerful schools in other classifications, can they merge in and play well? You don't know. And then does everyone play nice together? So it's just the first thing you have to do is get them, and then you hope.
Get them and create,
and then see what you have.
But then that's where it gets extremely difficult again for this program, because you're going to turn around and 2 of your first 3 games are at Penn State and then against Pitt. Right, so it's hard to mix in. Now you come out of the gate and beat Penn State. Well, that changes your momentum significantly moving forward. But that's a big ask. That's a big ask.
We haven't talked about the new AD yet. Let me say something that stands out about Wren Baker is you look at his bio at University of North Texas, and part of the thing about firing Shane Lyons was, well, why do you fire Shane Lyons? What are you looking for? Well, new direction. And you look at his bio, let me just read from it real quick. Baker is a noted fundraiser who has led record fundraising years at 4 different universities. During his tenure at UNT, athletics has registered the 4 best fundraising years in its history, while securing 12 of the 20 largest gifts in athletic department history, 6 of the top 10 and overall top 4 largest gifts in UNT athletics history. He's a, quote, tireless marketer and promoter, spearheaded a number of innovative initiatives, boosting attendance, fan experience. I mean, that tells you that is, and you look at some of the comments about him, I mean, that tells you that was something that West Virginia was clearly looking for, where they felt, where the university, I'm not saying me, where the university felt there was a deficit with Shane Lyons. So what's this guy's job? Raise money, and then raise more money, and then, by the way, raise more money. And the Country Roads Trust came out with a statement, with a long statement, supporting the hire, welcoming him to West Virginia. So already you see very early kind of a nexus there, much more of a nexus existing between the trust and the athletic department and the new AD.
So a couple things. One, not a surprise that they went in that direction hiring. Even had they not said those things, you see that all the time with administrators and coaches. You oftentimes go opposite of what you had previously. You had an internal compliance governance person. Now you go the other way to fundraising. So not a surprise there. Resume looks great. I mean, tremendous resume. He's got a bunch of experiences at all different levels in different kinds of environments, and I think that bodes well moving forward. I think what the interesting part to watch is, given that the relationship and the working relationship with the trust was obviously an issue, it comes forth. All that stuff you read in the bio would be wonderful if it turns into secured the largest gift at the fifth institution. But that doesn't help the trust. I mean, and if the MAC turns around and has skyrocketing numbers and Wren Baker proves to be the talented fundraiser that it looks like he may be, that doesn't help the trust. So I think more to the point, what's his ability and what is he willing to do to have those groups work together? That's the crux of what's going on across the country. And that's not just happening here. That's everybody. Every school is figuring out, what can we do? What benefits can we give from athletics to the trust that they can use to help entice donors? And how much is this competition versus we're going to help you? How much of a conversation do you have if you're Wren Baker and the head of the Mountaineer Athletic Club when you're sitting with a big donor and you're about to secure a gift? Do you suggest to that big donor, well, maybe don't give all of it to us. Maybe we'll just take 75% of it. Maybe there's 25% that should go somewhere else. So that will cut into the numbers that go on an AD's resume, because theoretically, right, he's not allowed to say that he helped raise dollars for the trust. But the trust expects the new AD to help raise dollars for the trust. So some of this is going to be really fascinating to see how, not in theory, not in discussion, not just looking at a resume, in practice, how does this work?
As we continue to move away from the philosophy of amateurism, which is happening at a lightning rate, you said two things in a recent soliloquy, Hoppy, that I think say everything that matters. You went over Wren's bio, and it mentioned fundraising. And you're right. So you can do one of these being 1 and the other being 2, or one is 1 and the other one is 1A. The only thing that matters in today's world of collegiate athletics at the Power 5 level is fundraising equals what? Money. And the situation that we're in right now in football is what? Wins. Everything else is a distant 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th down the road. So you can get on here and you can talk about everything else you want to talk about in college sports. The only thing that matters is money and having enough of it to compete. And 2, once you do, wins. I don't care if your coach is a Martian. If he puts wins up, we're keeping him. And he could be the greatest guy in the world, and if he doesn't win, doesn't matter. See you later.
Yeah.
That's what this is.
The same remains true for every person on staff in athletics. If you win, it raises all, what is it? High tide raises all boats, something like that?
Yeah.
I agree with you. I mean, that's not debatable.
Now,
What you just said.
Now that will make some people unsettled. Traditionalists become unsettled. They're struggling through this. I get it. I completely understand it. But that is the world that this has now become.
But 1B to the money still becomes who's raising the money and where's it going. That's a massive thing that I predict that will become more of what we talk about over the next year or so than we will anything else, because the department's going to have to juggle raising money for facilities like they always have versus so much of that money, the fundraising, has to be towards player salaries. It just does. But that's not the athletic department's job right now.
But
it's just not. It's another entity. So how does that part come together? How can you do that and marry the two? That's the question. That's what the new resumes will look like when you start to read bios like that. That's what they'll have to determine.
It's going to be a hard story to cover because the Country Roads Trust is a private entity, and so they don't have to disclose what they've raised and who gave and who got what. And then you won't know from the players who got what. So it's we're going to talk about it every time and not know a lot of what money is there and who's getting paid what. And I think I don't know how that changes. I think that's a distinct disadvantage, frankly. I mean, that's one thing I like about pro sports. You kind of like, oh, this guy makes this much, and you know whether they're worth. You can judge whether they're worth it or not. So we're going to talk about all this thing that is so important now, NIL and the money, and you don't know. Don't know the amounts.
And here's another point. Look how convoluted this has already become. What was name, image, and likeness supposed to be?
Well, it was the
opportunity for a student athlete to generate dollars off of his or her name, image, and likeness by providing a service, whatever that may be. That could be as an influencer. You sign
autographs, you get paid for that.
Could be as an influencer, could be as a speaker, could be as an autograph person, could be going to a birthday party. That was the intent of this, to make money off of your brand, off of your jersey. That was the intent. Now look how far away it's become. Now we're just saying, a quarterback, would you tell me this morning, a quarterback in the SEC starting is worth?
Yeah, Darren Heitner put out this graphic. It came from on3.com, I believe, and they were talking to a head of a collective that operates in the SEC, and they said the starting salary for a starting quarterback in the SEC starts at $1 million. So come with $1 million, and then we'll have discussions.
Is that within salary cap?
Well, think about it, though.
As of now, I don't think luxury tax is involved unless you get to 3. Then you might have to get some luxury tax.
Okay,
so people would start sweating when all of this started in NIL when you would say, oh, it can't be pay for play. It can't be pay for play. You think how long that lasts? About 6 seconds?
24 hours.
24 hours. It is pay for play. If we're talking about $1 million from someone that's inherently involved in the SEC saying $1 million for a starter. Now, as time goes on, if that is the number, you're going to get some pretty good players staying around. Because I'm going to make $1 million playing in the SEC as a starter, then I'll go as long as I can, and then I'll go take my shot in the NFL.
That is part of the other side of it when everyone says it's the ruination of college sports. It's actually going to keep some guys in. You saw that in basketball.
Oscar Tshiebwe
stuck around. Before, he would have had to say, okay, there's some first-round projections. Maybe there's second round, but I think I'm better than that. The only way he could legally, unless someone went in the back door, the only way he could go get his money was to test the draft waters, and that came with big risk or go overseas. Now they say, okay, I'm gonna get $2 million. I'm staying in college another year.
Bijan
Robinson. What they say, it's the only time a returning college player of the year has returned in I'm gonna miss the number, but 15 years or something ridiculous.
Yeah,
that speaks to.
You're also going to see some massive overpayments.
Yes.
You're going to see some busts.
And the market,
you already have.
But you know what,
You've seen guys with national ad campaigns from last year that have absolutely not performed.
But you know what,
dude?
Yes,
that's part of the risk.
And how often does that happen in professional sports, too?
Part of the risk.
How many guys how many quarterbacks do they sign the big deals, and all of a sudden they go, that's going to happen,
But they're better at it at that level because they've done it so much, and because the way everything they go through with evaluation.
Right. I think you're right. I think there will be
and also positions by position, right?
But that's also why some of the conversation has moved from a national ad campaign with a Coca-Cola to a donor walking in with the briefcase of money and $1 million saying, all right, let's start the discussions.
You know what point I'm at, man? Having done this for as long as I've done this, is let's just stop with the fake verbiage of what this really is all about. I don't want to see any more people in charge of things use their acronyms and their little catchphrases to indicate something that it really isn't.
How do you mean? What are you talking about? Concern for the student athlete or something?
Concern for the student athlete. Let's just
academics.
Let's just push it all aside and quit BSing and just say what it is. We are paying the players. Just let's cut it all out and let's get straight to it. Let's just say, okay, this is what it is. Instead of pretending. This whole thing has always been like pro wrestling. Is that for Is it fake or is it real? Anyway, you know what it is? I mean, that's what this has all been, this big fake out. Just let's say what it is, man. People will accept it. They'll accept it.
I think most people understand that's what it is now.
Nah, a lot of them don't.
I mean, you can put out whatever release you want. You can put out whatever release you want. I mean, you don't think people know that there's paying of players going on now? A lot more than they did 2 years ago?
Basically, what this has become is the jersey that they wear is simply the team that represents the brand of the school. That's what this is. I mean, they become that's your team. That's what your team is, and you hope that they do well because inherently it will continue to boost the brand of the institution, which increases enrollment, which increases exposure, which makes the world go round. But that's basically what it is. And so in the beginning, we would say, these are amateur athletes representing the university. No, that's all changed because the dollars have become so big that that's no longer the case. Now that's the brand team of the university, and however they get their team together, that's what it is, and those are the players that represent that school.
Yep, it's professional sports,
and for the money
professional sports,
for the money making sports,
for football and men's basketball,
for the money making sports,
it's professional sports, and that shouldn't be a surprise given the money that is poured into this in the last 2 decades.
And I'm all right with it. I'm not saying
you should be all right with it. That's the way it's become.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I have a problem with it. I'm just saying that's what this really is. That's what this really is. So that's what you go with. All right. Musketeers of Xavier. Last meeting, 07? Yeah, 07 in the NCAA tournament in Arizona. Sean Miller was the coach then at Xavier, has since gone to Arizona and now come back. They're pretty good. Huggs has been at the Xavier games on many occasions. He says it will be off the charts loud and it'll be cooking, but he thinks it will be good for his team because it'll get him ready for league play. What are the computers that you got, those multi-computers in that room of your house? What's the computers say about this matchup?
I think that's why this will be fun to watch, what you just said there. I think this is going to be a great March-esque environment when you go on the road. So let's go through a couple things like we did during football. Let's try and get some matchup portions of the game that you're watching here to see how they go. So first and foremost, early on in this season, teams are having success against Xavier from 3. Musketeers are bottom 50 teams nationally in opponent 3-point percentage. Now, West Virginia's been shooting at Hoppy really well the last few games
40,
from 3.
43, 40.
They shooting it too well? Is regression coming?
Probably.
Or can this group
geez.
keep it going? So watch that. If they can stay hot, this should be a team that you can get some looks and make some shots against. All right? West Virginia is clearly more aggressive defensively than last year. Agree?
Agree.
Mm-hmm.
Which is obviously a welcome change. But here's the challenge. West Virginia is putting teams on the line. West Virginia is bottom 20 nationally, one of the bottom 20 teams nationally in opponent free throw rate. So they're the other team's getting to the line to get some easy buckets. As we know from this podcast, Hoppy, if you've been paying attention, that's how West Virginia has lived over the last few years.
Right.
They've always been one of the top 15 or 20 teams nationally in getting to the line and earning its points at the line. So you've got to watch this. How's the whistle look? And when I say that, I'm going to say that a bunch this year, and that doesn't automatically assume West Virginia's going to get a bad whistle, right? Or that West Virginia's going to get screwed. What it means is what's the style of play that the officials will allow? If they let it go a little bit more, that's probably to West Virginia's advantage. Even if you get banged a little bit on the offensive side, if this defense is going to stay aggressive because of the foul rate that's happening now, I think you're going to want a whistle that allows this to go. That's number 2. Number 3, this Xavier offense has been elite nationally. They're 15th in offensive efficiency, so very, very good. But West Virginia's defense is 22nd. So it's a great offense against what statistically has been a great defense in West Virginia. One of the areas to watch, okay? Tony, you ready?
I'm listening.
You want an area you want to hit?
Yes, please.
Xavier's in the 98th percentile nationally on non-corner threes percentage.
Excuse me?
I always like to give you one down, like I went down.
Oh,
double in the
that's
weeds.
in there.
Like I
That's
went in the
weeds.
weeds, then dug up some soil and went down under. 98th percentile in three-point shooting percentage that's not from the corner. So it's called above the break. So like from the elbow of the 3 to the top of the key, 98%. They shoot it from up there. So the guards up top are going to have to apply some pressure and get in their face. Don't let them light you up from there.
So they're not doing well from corner threes.
No, they can make corner threes too, but the other threes, they're in the 98th percentile. There aren't many teams better than making threes from up top and around to the side, just not all the way in the dead corner.
That's deep right there.
That's very deep.
Ken Pomeroy of Ken Pom on his projection has West Virginia losing the game by 2 points, 75-73. So he's got a tight game with West Virginia falling 75-73. Interesting.
Well, if it's a 2-point game, take your chances. What the heck?
Yeah.
I've been saying this a bunch too. West Virginia is seemingly interested in getting out a little bit more and pushing the pace, especially off turnovers. They've been one of the better teams in the country at points off turnover rate. So against Xavier, you can get some points in transition. First 10 seconds of the shot clock, get up and down the floor. Go, Hoppy.
Go.
Get it and go.
Mo Wagee going to be running that floor. That's what he's going to do. They got a big that can step out and shoot, but maybe Mo can beat him down the floor.
He and Joe Toussaint, you're talking about Jack Nunge. So
Yeah.
He and Joe Toussaint, both former Iowa Hawkeye players. Nunge's a 7-footer, very skilled. Yeah, and he'll step out. 7-footer, step out. He'll hit some threes, Hop. Not afraid to shoot it.
Hugs told me that he's married.
He is.
So I said, Hugs, man, you're really doing your homework here.
His wife got heavy airtime during the Portland event.
Uh-huh.
In fact, this is a new thing ESPN's trying this year because I've seen it on officials and I've now seen it on relatives of two different players. They put like a GoPro looking thing. Camera sticks out by the ear right here, and you can get point of view from the relative in the stands.
That's pretty wild. That's pretty wild.
It is.
Did you see, I'm looking for it here, did you see Ken Pom? Ken Pom currently has West Virginia up to 25, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Which is a good climb. They had them last time I looked at home number 2 in the country. Home benefit or home
court advantage.
Home court advantage kind of a stat. Yeah. Thought that was interesting. Yeah. So like Hugs has been there before a ton. They don't like him. He doesn't like them. He's told them that he doesn't like them. So it'll be super intense, which makes me think that we've seen Hugs enough over the years. So what he's going to do is when he walks out, he'll be in that, that look in that mood. Like he pretends like he like walks out and it's like he didn't even realize he was going to a basketball game. Like he just kind of walks out and just kind of like,
yeah.
They give you, oh, heck, people here. I didn't even know there was going to be people here. Think he goes with that one?
Yes. Yeah. Not aloof, but kind of aloof.
Yeah, like
huh?
Okay, yeah, I think I might have been here before. I don't know. And they're just screaming at the top of the lugs their heads, and he just kind of like, Then he just goes sits down. Just irritates him. You guys ready to do some? Oh, I need to tell you this.
So are you going to be watching? Will you make a little note there on your roster page to watch those above the break threes? Keep an eye on that. Because West Virginia's good at defending those. They're in the 76th percentile in opponent shooting percentage there.
I see that the Southeastern.
I'm just getting started, Kurt. Wait till we get rolling in basketball season. There are going to be some numbers.
That's a strong start for you.
My goal is to make your mouth go agape.
Well, that 3-point shot, that was.
They pounded Southeast Louisiana last night, 95-63, and Southeast Louisiana made 7 out of 19 threes. They hit 7 threes against them, which that's a good night. 7 threes is pretty good. They shot 37% from 3, so we'll see how that all plays out. 3 Guys Before the Game is brought to you by the premier recreational vehicle dealer in the state of West Virginia. That's Burdett Camping. They've been fantastic since joining up with us on their promotions. I mean, they do great stuff.
Terrific.
We've given away, I don't know, $200 to $300 million worth of parts sales and service.
No wonder they're still in business.
Unofficially, I'm not sure. I haven't done the math on that. And they're ready to deal with you. So it is the winter season. Well, who knows? Maybe you're taking that recreational vehicle down south. Maybe be a snowbird or something like that. If you need anything, they got it for you at Burdett Camping in Winfield. That's burdettcamping.com. You buy from them, and that warranty lasts as long as you own the RV. So that's why they call it the Warranty Forever dealer. Also, if you listen to Hoppy's morning get-together that he does, he has people on all the time, federal officials, things like that, where they bust people that go in and steal people's data and just these crime sprees that go on. If you're a business owner and you aren't 100% sure that your business is safe from attack when it comes to data, well, the folks at Comax Business Systems will let you know exactly where you stand. They'll come in and do it for absolutely free. They'll give you an inventory and tell you where you stand. Good here, not good here. How can they help you? Well, they can, because they offer 24/7 remote monitoring, and they can manage your IT. They'll do that. And you can manage your voice and your phone services through Comax Business Systems, plus all the other fine things that they sell. So equipment, managed IT, managed voice, managed phone, and who knows? If you ask them real nice, they might be able to sell you a couple Sharpies and one of them orange highlighters, maybe even a yellow highlighter. Orange underrated in the highlighter business. Yellow, obviously, first and foremost.
Yeah, I think yellow's the...
Yeah, but there are some that are moving more toward the orange.
Really?
As well, yeah.
Well, I'm strong yellow.
Oh, yeah. I think you have to be.
Yeah.
But, you need a little... So it happens, though, if you do everything yellow, then it just becomes a big old yellow thing. That's why you need to introduce a secondary color. So you go yellow, 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 but then, orange. Well, there's the orange part that I need. That's even...
What about blue or green?
Not a
Light
huge
blue?
fan. I think orange is strong second in the world of highlighters.
Yeah.
Brad, would you agree?
Probably accurate.
Yeah. I think orange has come on. I don't think it wasn't initially accepted, but I think it's made a stronger move over time. So check out our good folks at Comax Business Systems. Shall we? Oh, let's do it. If you're a regular listener to this podcast, you know that at times we have spent some time pointing out some words that are mispronounced by folks, and it's benign on their part. They don't mean to say a word wrong, but they
Nuclear.
do. They do. Yeah, nuclear, yeah. Aluminum, twiced, Cincinnati.
What'd you say? How did you say aluminum wrong?
Well, some people say it wrong. They say the word aluminum wrong. Some people say it wrong. They say they don't do it right.
I'll tell you what do they say?
Senator?
I don't know.
Aluminum. They get the N's and the M's. They go sideways on it. Aluminum. I think they get the N in front of the M. Aluminum.
I've never heard that one.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So I say that because that brings up this text. The following story is based on actual events, and only names have been changed to protect the innocent. I'm sitting in my family room, reading a text about the new WVU athletic director, and a voice booms in from the next room.
What page are you on?
Follow me. Does it matter what page I'm on, Junior?
Sorry, go ahead.
While sitting in the family room reading a text about the new WVU athletic director, a voice comes from the next room. Hey, I see that Wren Baker is the new athletic director. Me in reply, I don't think the text says Warren. Voice from the other room. Spell check changed it to Wren for some reason. Me, I think Warren will be surprised. I've heard three people.
Spell check changed it. Great spell check call.
I've heard three people tell me that.
Oh, really?
They thought it was Wren Baker. They thought the Wren was wrong. Meanwhile, okay, jump ahead now. First page.
Okay.
It'll make you happy now. Hoppy's happy.
Sorry.
That's fine. Jay and Charlotte. Respectfully. He writes, respectfully, Jay and Charlotte. I love the show and love all three of you. Please don't take what I'm about to say as personal. I'm just a singular fan, and I mean no disrespect.
Here comes a heater.
Yep.
Here comes a Here comes a heater. My opinion on
fastball.
Looking inside. Now. Gonna try and turn on it down the line.
Put your elbow guard up. My opinion on football and the crux of the issue is this. excuses. Since Neal started, the coach, the administration, media who covers the team has pushed the myriad of reasons as to why there hasn't been success. Dana, year 0, COVID, transfer portal. While I agree there is some merit to those reasons, we're in year 4. The record is no better. There are examples of others who have been more successful sooner, similar limitations. My opinion, this narrative has allowed Neal to be comfortable, largely unaccountable for. To hear Shane say that Neal is really in year 2 is unacceptable. The culture we should have is one of winning. Instead, we have one of continual excuses. Think about where our expectations are today. Excuse me. We finished 5-7, year 4. The narrative is about effort and the team not quitting. That should be the bare minimum and expected. I don't know how we got here, but we all need a dramatic shift in our collective expectations and attitude, respectfully. Jay and Charlotte.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, and I've made excuses for him. I want him to succeed. I don't think he personally has made many excuses. I think he's been pretty candid and about things. I don't think he's come out there and said, well, I didn't have this, I didn't have that, I didn't have the other, number one. Second thing is, I guarantee you he is not comfortable. He is uncomfortable. He's been uncomfortable all season with how things have gone. These last few weeks, the last month has been wildly uncomfortable. And the university saying, you'll remain our coach, only provides a modicum of comfort. So if your concern is about his comfort, he's not comfortable.
He's certainly not comfortable based on anything the three of us clowns say. So I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, listen to what three. I will say this though, and I get it, and some of that I agree with in terms of it's about wins, and the effort and the not quitting should be the bare minimum. I also agree there. I think the other part of this is, and I'll come back to that quitting part. I get why some fans are tired of hearing that stuff, and they say just win, just win, just win. But excuses can also be reasons. And I think one of the things, I won't speak for you two, that I try and do here is bring my past experiences to the table and try and explain some things that are happening. And one of those things that we've done throughout this year, Hop, is tried to explain how and what Shane Lyons was looking at when he was evaluating Neal. Because quite frankly, it doesn't matter what our evaluation of Neal is. We're not making that decision. So trying to put forth some reasons with what Dana left, that's, you can say excuse, but it's also a reason. So, yes. You can talk about COVID, okay, but it's also a reason. Those were all reasons as well. So you could also interchange excuses and reasons. And I don't care, Jay, what you say to us or what your criticism is. That's fine. You can criticize us all you want. But those are also reasons, and Shane Lyons told you. If you didn't believe us, Shane Lyons said those were the things he was going through in his evaluation process. So I understand the frustration. I understand the frustration with lack of winning, but I would also say, just from a personal perspective, what I have been trying to do over the last year is provide explanation and reasons for some of this stuff, for what it's worth.
Charles in Wyoming, guys, we just caught our first bad break of the 23 season. Penn State was going to lose the number 1 rated offensive tackle in the draft, but he just decided, instead of missing out on a renewed rivalry game that was too steep of a price to pay, even after being guaranteed a top 10 pick.
So what's that tell you? You just mentioned it earlier. Chances are good he got a pretty good contract to come back.
Yeah.
Right? They matched the tender offer that was on the table from the NFL. Didn't clear waivers. They were able to re-sign, I would guess.
But, dude, for the guy that was going to be the number 1 tackle taken.
Well, I'm not saying it didn't hurt West Virginia. I'm just saying that's part of the new world there.
No kidding. One of the 3 reasons he listed was the ice cream from the Penn State Creamery. Remember they used to have peachy paterno Hoppy?
Oh, yeah.
It was very good.
Is that part of his deal?
So he loved it.
No, he owns it.
So he loved being there.
He
owns it. He now owns the dairy.
Bought him. Got a minority owner.
Reed from New Jersey,
Didn't give him a majority. Hoppy just gave him like 48% of the thing, probably something like that.
We took a lot of heat over
Have
this.
a good year this year. He gets more. He becomes majority owner. Huh?
We took a lot of heat. Like, a bunch of people pointed this out. When I said, when was the last time West Virginia had a guy rush for over 50 yards twice in the same game? Like, people are fired up. Sugar Bowl, 52 yards. Steve Slayton went over 50. I figured that was a layup when you threw it out to the guys. Love the show. Look forward to it every time. Reed in New Jersey. Thank you.
Good point. Shouldn't have done that. I just ran over the Bulldogs so much. Too many plays to remember.
Yeah.
He did.
Hey, 3 guys, I needed to tie up some loose ends from the last episode. No doubt in my mind, the NIL collectives are a way to sidestep Title IX. If institutions pay players, they would have to pay male and female athletes equally. Collectives don't. Number 2, it's important to Tony to drink a high volume of coffee each day, but he also enjoys the dopamine hit by making a purchase from Starbucks. That's why he brings a thermos and buys a foo-foo coffee on the way in.
Where's your
By
thermos?
the way, where is your thermos?
Yeah.
I thought you gave the kickback to the start of this like you were going to pour the coffee. You didn't need it today?
It's upstairs because what time did we have coffee this morning?
8.
8. That was pretty early, so I've been hitting it up on my desk all morning.
Oh.
Yeah. Number 3.
I had an extra jolt today. I didn't need a second cup
That was pretty
today.
good, wasn't it?
I think I had a little more
It did.
caffeine than usual. Did it?
Yeah, it did. It was good.
I almost just left my car there and ran back to my house.
The meeting, Hoppy, was an 8 a.m. meeting for you. We met on your behalf.
How'd it go?
Extremely
Tremendous.
well. This is going to be
Tremendous.
This is going to be real nice, Clark.
All-time transfer portal pickup.
Number 3, trade.
Questions about how we manage the portal, Kurt. So we didn't get it done.
Number 3, Taze Valley is a mindset.
And all this is to keep me from going into the portal. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Wow, you could answer that more quickly.
I would think this.
I
to be
didn't know you
quite
were
hon-
considering it. Now we're a little concerned. Might have to change some percentages that were discussed today.
No, I think it came up during the conversation that when this thing blows up, he will be the first out. Like, it won't be us. Yeah, he'll be the one that goes
Well, on
like,
some of these extras,
Yeah.
I might be the first one to walk from this stupid podcast. I'm probably the minus odds on that.
Number 3, Taze Valley is a mindset. That's what Eric Stevenson yelled at those Florida cheerleaders Sunday night after his two-handed hammer dunk. Boy, that's become a big topic. What did he yell at them? I mean, like a bunch of people are asking. I didn't even – okay. Number 4, I too have land, and yes, the way I got it was my grandpa gave it to my dad,
Of
and yes,
course.
he also
listen.
sold – he also sold an adjacent piece to my uncle. And yes, we just pay the taxes.
Yep.
You're only forgetting one piece of the land puzzle. The guy that owns the neighboring farm wants to buy it, but we ain't selling. Puzzle complete. Pete in Pennsboro. Hello!
That is, there it is. That's exactly. Couldn't have written it any better.
He's the best. That's exactly true. The people that own the next land always want to buy it, but we ain't selling it to them because my grandfather would never have that.
Taze Valley is a mindset, early contender for underrated comment on this show. That's really strong.
I think it's a T-shirt.
Yeah, it's definitely a T-shirt. That's really strong.
Hey, 3 guys, I've got friends that never cared for Skylar Howard, but those same friends were saying we should have been playing Garrett Green because we need a quarterback that can run. Isn't Green a copy of Howard, 5'11" guy that runs the offense and the ball with limited throwing ability? Signed by Pastor
Skylar.
Holly in Elkview.
I'm sorry, Skylar could pass better.
Skylar could throw the ball.
He could throw the ball, especially the long ball.
Over the shoulder to Shelton Gibson.
Yeah.
Texter.
Of course, he might have had a little more, maybe Skylar had a little more help downfield too.
Yeah. Seeing that Shelton played in the league a little bit. Howdy from Princeton, 3 guys. Really excited to hear about the new apparel. Charlie from Princeton, listener since episode 1, and I'm a proud owner of the original 3 Guys hoodie.
Nice. Thank you, Charlie.
The original 3 Guys hoodie, that's champion. That was really good material. That was that Rocky Balboa.
It's a nice piece.
That was that Rocky Balboa gray.
As they say in the industry, that's a nice piece. That'll be a collector's item.
3
With that
guys.
original logo. Remember the logo with the?
I don't think I have one.
Well, you don't have one because
No,
we
you
had to
don't.
buy it. We didn't build in any. We had to go buy it.
3 guys, we need to ask.
Buying any swag. Sorry, go ahead.
Can I keep just one thing?
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just letting you guys know. Just look at the clock and remember what you told me. So that's all.
Yeah, hurry up. Let's
That's
go. I
cool.
don't know why you're taking so long.
3 guys, we need to ask spreads, what will be harder, a replacement to find, an AD fitting for the program and the times, or Spreads' property manager and groundskeeper that is retiring?
Definitely the second.
Someone's got to maintain the woodpile that keeps his computers running.
Fair point.
Look forward to
Elite.
a pint of Kirchaval.
Talk about one of the all-time bad beats going into the transfer portal. My landscaper, yard guy,
What now?
never had to worry about it.
What now?
I had an elite landscaper. Yard mower was awesome. Came home one day. I jumped out. Always happy to say, "Hey, good to see you. Looks great. Looks great." He came walking. Hey, I'm like, oh no, this is not good. I don't like how this is starting.
Uh-oh.
Retiring. On to his second career.
Not going to the portal, just retiring.
Just not into the portal. Just flat out done. Hanging it up.
It's hard. It's going to be hard to replace.
Super hard to replace. Was elite.
You know how I did it? Because we weren't happy with our individual that was handling it. Fired him. Let him go. Bought an electric mower. Gave it to my wife.
I took care of that.
Wife cuts the yard.
Speaking of this gentleman,
I've always done it, but had mower issues, broke, couldn't get it re-going on my own, ran out of time, had to get somebody in, haven't gone back. Might have to revisit now. You got a lawnmower guy, I think, don't you? That fixes?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Lou.
yeah. We might have
Lou.
He still fixes mowers?
Oh hell yeah, Lou Stroh-Snyder in Point Marion. You just drive over Point Marion. He's got a nice bunch of guys over there.
Might
They'll
have
take
to
care
have
of
a
your mower.
discussion there. Might have to.
What kind of mower do you have?
Do I currently have
What kind? Yeah,
Honda?
Honda,
Push.
like a riding mower.
Push.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm going to buy me one of them big Cub Cadets, but can't find them. Damn supply chain issues. Been looking for 2 years.
Rail strike.
I went in there and said, "Hey, you got one of those ones that's got a steering wheel and zero turn?" They look at me like they want. The guy's like, "Did you hear what he just said, Johnny? I got one with a steering wheel and a zero turn."
Didn't you do the Bad Boy Mowers Bowl one time?
He and I did. Couldn't get one on the plane though.
Well, you talk about bad work by us on the NIL deal.
Yeah, really.
Came out with some nice shirts, needed a mower.
Hey, by the way, this gentleman said, "I'm looking forward to a pint of Courchevel."
Oh,
One of the big revelations in the meeting today.
Yeah.
This was awesome. Brad and I went, "Ooh, it's already sold out.
what now?
The beer's all sold out."
What?
Beer sold out.
It's
What do you
sold
mean
out.
it's sold out?
There's going to be 14 barrels made.
And a barrel is
A lot of beer.
how many gallons in a barrel?
I don't know. What
Well,
am I?
just stop
Like a
asking all the details.
brewmeister?
We don't know. Just big barrels.
14 barrels of beer on the wall.
That's like a
14 barrels of beer
like
on the
a-
wall.
like you would
14
imagine like a-
barrels of beer. Yeah.
You know, in olden times, one of those barrels.
What do you think? The
Like
day-
it's on the one that's on the dog, the
No,
big dog.
no,
that's wearing
no,
around
No,
his
no,
collar?
this is what he thinks. This is what he thinks.
What kind of dogs are those?
The day of the
Sheep
event,
dogs?
he thinks that we're going to go over there. He thinks
Big
we're going to go
wooden
over
barrel?
there, and they're going to get a big wooden spike and hit the thing.
Right, the one with the metal things around, the wraps around it.
Anyway, so I said that is the ale house is going to have it. They've
Yeah.
already made their pre-order of a number, and then the brewer has already gone to his outlets, and they said, "Yep, we'll take two, we'll take two, we'll
Right
take two,
away.
we'll
Just-
take two." It's all gone. So eventually, people, I mean, the places are going to have it, but it's pre-bought. Like it's not. There's not like.
So you're going to have to go to an establishment. This first wave, you're going to have
Yeah.
to go into a bar
Okay.
and order some.
Like our brewer.
We're not in grocery stores yet. That'll be coming next.
Now, here's what I'm saying. The brewer, Bill at Chestnut Brew Works, he's not going to go inside of his facility and go like, "I got all this Courchevel sitting here that never moved. It's gone."
Right.
Good.
Right. Gone.
How did he pitch it?
Pre-sale.
Your name? Texter. "Hey, Tony, hoping you can help me. My family is doing an Italian food for Christmas this year. Do you have any true Italian recipes I could blow their minds with?"
Ooh.
Yes, we're going to talk on the phone. I got your number. I'll call you. Hey, three guys. Paul in Tampa. Love your show, but I'm anxiously awaiting the food podcast spinoff. I wanted to say that I agree with your assessment of the Mountaineer football team against the Cowboys of Oklahoma State. Played their backsides off. However, I still have a huge disagreement with your assessment of Neal. I genuinely respect and like Coach Brown. However, even in victories, same issues haunt us. We only beat the teams that make more stupid mistakes than we do. Go back and watch Oklahoma State and Virginia Tech. Oklahoma State dropped several passes without any Mountaineers in view. Tech seemed to be creating new ways to lose a game. Against Baylor, we had a great second half, and their quarterback and nose tackle were knocked out. I believe they had almost 400 yards by halftime. How many times have we heard the coach talk about a big play by the opponent and using the excuse of either we had a blown coverage or we weren't lined up correctly or we had a bad read? Like somehow that makes it acceptable. We lost to a mediocre Iowa State team because they don't make stupid mistakes. We didn't beat any team that played 60 minutes. Coaching staff has not been able to implement disciplined, sound football. Perhaps Neal's not just a Big 12 coach. If we lose to a better team because of talent, it's one thing. However, we lose games because we are not disciplined and do not play sound fundamental football for 60 minutes.
It is true that some of those wins were a mess. I mean, the other team helped you win. Sometimes you need that, especially when you're not a very good team. The other thing is, this gets back to what Brad says. I think when Brown says we weren't lined up correctly, I don't think that's an excuse. An excuse would be, what I expect, I got young players, and you can't expect me to go out there and stop these teams with these young players who haven't played. He just says, we weren't lined up correctly. That's taking responsibility.
Well, I think he was trying to tell you what happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think both things can be true. I mean, this team did do a lot of dumb stuff all year and made a ton of mistakes, and it happened game after game after game. Yeah, so that absolutely has to get cleaned up, but also welcome to college sports. That happens a lot. Go back and watch a lot of teams.
That's
the winning team is the one that makes less mistakes. That happens. The other team's going to blow it and do something stupid at some point.
But there were a lot of mistakes this year. I mean, how many times did we watch a game and go, "Oh, here you go." Okay, that's
ton. Right. And clean those. And again, as we have said, a couple of those mind-numbing mistakes, one in each game specifically, multiple ones in each game, led you to losses in the first two games.
Yeah,
get it.
You could use that every game that you ever watch, whether West Virginia's involved or not. Like if you're not a Pat Narduzzi fan at Pitt, you could say today, well, you should have lost to West Virginia, but that receiver had the ball go through his hands. That's the only way you beat him is because he dropped the ball. You could say the same thing. That's what sports are. It's about the mistakes, not by the pluses. But I get your point. But,
yeah.
Texter, insurance agents do have a good gig. I agree. However, my man is having to earn his bread this week. Taylor, if you could put up the damage photos.
Did Taylor house sit at this house?
No, these guys are busy. Several of us just north of you had a party Sunday afternoon hosted by Hale, not Hale in California, not California, Pennsylvania. In the picture on my porch, they've been melting several minutes. Hailstones almost as big as ping pong sized. I've got a lot more hood and roof damage to my car, and I lost several storm windows. Consider myself fortunate, no major damage or any injuries, thank goodness. I did collect a business card from what I call the roofing contracting version of the ambulance chaser, making the rounds in the aftermath. Smart guy. I'm guessing he'll be having a good Christmas, Steve, not Cal. So he took hail damage.
How about that?
Hey, Taylor, put the family pictures up. Hey, guys, Laura from Cincinnati. Thought I would share these pictures from the Kansas State and the Penn basketball game, highlighting my 87-year-old mom who loves the Mountaineers.
Nice.
Also pictured my brother and I, an alum, and my daughter, current senior. Hoping to see you at the X game if I can scrounge up a ticket. Let's go. Thank you, Laura, and congratulations. Awesome. Your mom had a great, great weekend there, and that's fantastic. So think about that. She got to see the victory over the Sooners and the Quakers.
Can she come to more games?
Yeah, she could be the good luck charm.
We can bring her to more games.
Congratulations. Yeah, really. Texter, this is great. Excited to hear details about the Hoppy Kercheval event. Hopefully there will be steins for the beer. There could even be enough to fill a cooler. The result? The Dean Stein cooler.
Done. Efforting in the next product.
I think Grace over
the next product meeting, we're coming up with a Stein cooler,
and it could be the Dean Stein cooler.
We'll have to pay rights to Dean Stein cooler.
Spelling's different. Spelling's different.
That's all right, Your Honor. Because
probably to Cricky too, if he does that every time one's sold.
Texter, I listen a lot and I text a lot. Current arrangement cannot continue. NIL, freedom of movement, is a good thing, but has created a zoo. Unlike any other league, NBA players get traded with agreed-upon terms under league regulations. If a player were to tweet an hour before the game that he quit, there would be scandal and consequence that would affect his career. This system is systematically irresponsible, does a disservice to the fans and institutions that have invested billions and decades into the sport, and does a disservice to the athletes by teaching them that this is how adults handle business. At the risk of being brevity shamed by Caridi, I bid you adieu. Marion County land camper, step grandpa's land.
Everybody with the land.
Hey, three guys. I listened Monday. Okay, this is another one screaming at us because we didn't know that Tavon and Slayton both had 50s.
Fair enough.
Texter. First comment, I agree with Brad that Shane should have had a longer leash and was fired after an extension 11 months earlier. That's a head-scratcher. Question about recruiting. Why recruit high school players when they are the ones that are most likely to leave? Buy a proven product that will be more likely around longer. Also, yes, I would like to see Neal succeed. We cannot afford to can him after a 4-year sample size. You know what you're getting. What's going to change? In closing, I'd like to ask if Hoppy is going to announce after the beer introduction that he is entering into the transfer portal. I think Tony would go if offered a dozen genuine direct from Italy San Marzano plants. Brad would probably jump for his own clothing store and a signature line of men's apparel with numerous mannequins, of course.
Sure.
Tyler County Lawn Boy Kennedy would opt out for a $25 gift certificate to Little General, I'm sure. Just asking, Mike and Wheeling. There's a lot there. All right, here we go. Gentlemen, after seeing the news on the new AD hire, I've been listening to several interviews with Wren Baker from the past year or so. Here are my initial takeaways. He has appeared on many more podcasts and shows than I would have imagined, and he is a very charismatic and intelligent speaker. He seems to have a grasp on new media. He is a former coach who accrued several technicals and has been tossed from games. I like that energy. He'll probably be hooking up with Hugs then. He said in multiple interviews that you can't run a program based on the perception of the fan base.
Oh.
Why are you making a noise?
Because I just told you that on Saturday. We just had this discussion.
What did you tell him?
The whole fade the public discussion.
Yeah, fade the public.
Right?
Yeah, yes.
Thank you.
Randy concludes, all in all, I like this guy so far. Wish him well. Hail.
I should probably
West
get back
Virginia.
What now?
I mean, North Texas has an opening. I wonder, can I get back in there? Have I said
I
anything
mean,
that offends North Texas? Could I be a candidate there? Like LSU, I can't be.
No, you can't. I don't think you've said anything bad about North Texas.
I don't think I have either.
We'd have to go back when we played them in basketball during the COVID year when they came in on 7 minutes notice. Remember that?
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
I
right,
think
yeah.
I was complimentary then.
You were
Kinder, gentler time during COVID, being nice.
Yeah.
Put Ben Kirchhoff down as one of your references. UNT grad.
I mean, grew up watching Hayden Fry, one of the
Hayden
all-time
Fry,
great
yes.
North Texas guys.
That's where that change started with Hayden Fry there. Went on to Iowa.
No, we're definitely not getting to episode 800. I might have to investigate North Texas opening.
Texter, I'll be fast. I don't see where this new AD is close to being on the same level as Shane. This will be a mistake and cause problems. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't feel good about it. Stephen in Morgantown. Texter, Twitter's exploded this week with players announcing their intention to enter the portal. Has Neal and the staff conducted their end-of-year interviews with players? I haven't seen any player from West Virginia announce that they're going to enter the portal since the win against Oklahoma State on Saturday. The portal doesn't officially open yet.
So absolutely no contact can be made during this time. Is that what you're saying?
Meanwhile, people are committing and talking about offers. I saw a Tulsa kid enter the portal and 3 hours later had claimed on his social media, he said he was entering the portal. Then 3 hours later, he said, proud to have received an offer from Oklahoma State.
Texter, the horse has left the barn. I repeat, the horse has left the barn. Please do not combine with bourbon maple syrup. P.S. I believe a gummy show would be far funnier. You know what he's talking about?
Yeah,
when we
like
said
a
maybe have
marijuana
beer,
gummy?
Yeah, instead of drinking beers, have marijuana gummies and just ingest those while you do a show.
Nah, I'm going to get all paranoid.
Oh, dear. Hi, three guys. NIL seems to be a big topic lately. I understand why. Call me old school, but I don't like it. Yes, Brad, I know coaches get paid an astronomical amount, which I also don't agree with, but that's where the industry has gone. My problem is, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I thought the purpose of name, image, likeness was so the players could make the money off jersey sales, advertisements, autographs, and stuff. That doesn't seem to be the case. Straight up pay for play, like we were saying earlier. They're no longer staying and playing for the school. And there's no loyalty. Should I spend my money on a player who won't be here in a year's time? Texter. To the beer tycoons. Upon watching this ragtag group of hustlers that our Hall of Fame coach has put together, I have to say that I love how this basketball team plays. It's fun to watch. Collection of characters that don't step on each other's feet. I hope they continue to play their backsides off and refuse to give up. A state of toughness, grit, determination expects the same from their players. And I think we have just that. By the way, up on my buddy's land in Wyoming County, the sorry satellite internet won't stream. So when the game comes on, we all huddle up around the Bluetooth speaker with a tasty beverage and listen to our guy, Tony. Insert your Morgan Freeman voice. That makes for a great fall in the mountains of West Virginia. Chris and Marietta.
They have land.
From Mullins. He's got land in Wyoming County. That's it, man. Joe, if you haven't seen it, we got 1 minute left. Show the picture, Taylor, if you would. There, Joe Mazzulla with the Prince and the Princess.
Oh.
Did you see that last? Oh, Hoppy hadn't seen that.
No, I hadn't seen that.
Cut to Hoppy's face. He's got his mouth open, Taylor.
Mouth agape.
You didn't see that?
No.
Oh yeah, he was screening them the whole night. They were sitting in the front row. He's coaching the team. He was walking by him.
About that.
Is that amazing or what?
Did he talk? Did he get a chance to talk to him?
No, it didn't appear to.
Those are good seats. They got good seats.
Yeah, they got good
Must know
seats.
somebody.
Yeah. Someone wants to know when the football schedule will come out. I think we're down to days now, folks. This is for the next year's football schedule. Now, another thing, real quick, keep this in mind, folks. You know, we're talking about Penn State. We're talking about Pitt. That's not coming. Keep in mind that West Virginia potentially will not play 4 teams that have played this year in conference. That's a mathematical possibility. You got 4 newcomers coming in, right?
Okay.
There's a potential that you won't play 4 teams that you have been playing for the last 11 years. You could play all 4 of the new teams. You could.
That's probably slim, but yeah, that's
some
a good
can,
point.
some can, some will. Some will play a couple. Some you could play 4 different teams. So the schedule, as we know it, could be significantly different than it's been. Just a thought. Just a thought. We're back Monday. Oh well, so Monday, lots going on. Wren Baker press conference.
Oh yeah, 10 o'clock,
10 a.m. So we'll have the post. We'll have the reaction to that. And if he does podcasts like the one gentleman said, then I would think it's only a matter of time before he's seated between you clowns.
I think 2 things. One is we're carrying that live, okay, on our Metro News website and also on some of our stations. Have that live. And I think the first question to him, because they'll have an introduction by Guy and then he'll say a few things. So like by 10:20, take some questions. How much have you raised so far in the first 20 minutes?
Did you say you're going to stream it live?
Yes, we're streaming it live.
Did you ask Pete Thamel if you could?
Gotta be a jerk. Gotta rub it in.
3 guys before the game.
Guy gets beat. Stick his
Hoppy,
nose
you didn't
in.
get beat. That's like going into a knife fight with a water gun. You can't win that. That's what they do for a living.
I overreacted yesterday, by the way.
Nah, I could only hear you up in my office screaming. Sounded like Jerry Stackhouse going off there. 3 guys brought to us by Comax Business Systems, your full-service Konica Minolta dealer. Go to Comax Business Systems at ComaxWV.com. And just to make you smart.
That's the only time I'm wound a little tight, but I'm pretty calm, right?
You're freaking nuts.
No, you're calm. And then you have moments where you lose your mind.
Yeah.
You're pretty calm.
You have anger outbursts.
Well,
He doesn't have as many as you think. I think you hear a disproportionate amount of.
Because I'm sitting up
you
there and I
hear
hear
like 100%. Like I'm with him for 112 hours every Saturday. He has I don't know if you've had any.
Is he tight?
No, he's
thank
tight,
you.
but he's not unreasonable.
You ever done election coverage with him?
No, I stay away from that. I'm not touching that. I want no part of that.
I just want, what do I want, Brad? What do I want?
Want things to go right and do your job.
Yeah, that's all.
3 guys before the game is also brought to us by
Very reasonable.
Yeah.
the Burdett Camping Center, the only warranty forever RV dealer in all of West Virginia. Visit them at burdettcamping.com. Brad, the National Association of Sportscasters sent its ballot out this week, and you know who's a candidate for the Hall of Fame?
Oh.
Yes, he is.
Well deserved. He's not in?
He's not in the Hall of
How's
Fame.
he not already in?
Because he's not been in yet with Dean Steinkuhler.